In the previous lecture, we understand how you can read the file using Python. Now, in this lecture, we're going to talk about how you can write file in Python. In Python, you can create different type of files like text, PNG, PDF, JPG, and so on. You can create different type of files in Python. To create a file, you must first open a file with the access mode. We already understand what is access mode in the previous lecture, but writing file have a different access mode. We'll talk about what is access mode after a few seconds. But just for now, access modes govern the type of operations possible in open file. Now, let's take a look at a very simple example to understand how you can write a file in Python. So I'm going to first simply import OS module inside this Python file. So here I'm going to say import OS. As I said earlier, you have different predefined modules in Python which you can use to save your time. The OS module gives the access of your OS, and using this module, you can get your current file directory. I'm going to show you how you can do that. But for now, let's import the OS module and then import the path module. So I'm going to import path library. Both these modules is very useful in day-to-day Python programs. Now, once I imported both this module, let me just get the path of my file. To get the path, I'm going to just call path library dot and call a method of this library path. And what I want to get the absolute path of this file. So I'm going to just specify here another method, and I'm going to call a method here dot absolute. So this absolute method is going to return the absolute path of the file, and I'm going to store that in a variable. So I'm going to create here a variable path and store this absolute path in this path variable. Now, once I have my path, I'm going to just get the list of files. So down here, I'm going to just say here os dot list directory. Now, this method is going to return the list of files in your directory. It means if you have 4 files in your directory, this method is going to return all that files as a list. Now, I'm going to get the result in the variable. So I'm going to create here directory list, a variable, and store this result. Now, before I move on, let me just show you the result first. I'm going to say here print directory list, and when I execute this file, I'm going to have the list of my files. So in my project directory, I have index, package folder, then Python file, sample.txt, and so on. Now, once I have that, let me show you the path variable. Here I'm going to say path and execute this file. When I execute this file, you can notice I'm going to have my current file path, and I'm going to have the absolute path of my current file. So it's going to return this index file absolute path in this path variable. So once I have my path and the list of directories, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this print statement, and to create my own file, I'm going to start with keyword with open. As I said earlier, to read or write your file, you need to first open it. So I'm going to first call a function open, and in the single quote, as a first argument, I'm going to specify my file name. Now here I'm going to specify my file.txt. Now right now, I don't have this file in my file list. So it's going to create this new file in my project directory. And I'm going to just specify mode for this file. So I'm going to just specify here comma and specify second argument, and here I'm going to say w. Now this w is going to open the file for writing. We'll talk about this mode after a few seconds. But just for now, just create an object. I'm going to say here as fp. You can specify any variable name here. And then in this with statement, here I'm going to say fp dot write. And I want to insert a data inside this my file.txt file. I want to insert new file created. So I want to insert this data inside this my file.txt file. So I'm going to specify my data inside this write method. That's it. Now let me just execute this file. But before I execute it, let me show you my project directory. I don't have this file in my project directory. You can notice here, when I execute this file, you can notice I'm going to have my file.txt file inside my project directory. And when you open this file, you're going to get new file created text. So you're going to get this data inside your file. So using this open and this write method, you can create and write data inside any file. Now, once you understand how easy it is to create your own file, let me just talk about this file mode. So the second argument of this open function is w. This w represents the file is for writing. So if you specify w as a file mode for writing your file, if you have data inside a file, then it will truncate and then overwritten. Just out that we have w plus mode. This mode is going to open the file for reading and writing. For an existing file, data is truncate and overwritten. This plus is going to allow you to read the file as well while writing. Just for that, we have a file type A. Now this mode is going to open the file for writing. The data being written will be inserted at the end after the existing data. So this mode is not going to override your file data. Instead, it's going to add, or you can say append the data at the end of the existing data. Now this file mode is going to open the file for reading and writing. And as I said earlier, this mode is going to add the data at the end of your previous data. So it means it's not going to override your previous data. Instead, it's going to add a new data at the end of your previous data. Now for an exercise, work with this different file mode and see the result. Let's take a look at how we can remove this file using Python. We know that how you can write and create a file using this write and this open method. Now suppose you want to delete this file. You can use both this library to delete this file very easily. Let me show you how you can do that. Just after this with statement, just after this with loop, down here I'm going to just say os dot remove. I'm going to call a method of this os library, and here I'm going to call a method remove. This method is going to remove the file from the list, or you can say from the directory. So I'm going to use this method to remove myfile.txt. Now once you have this remove method, let's specify parameter to it. So the first parameter you need to specify is the file name and the file path. So here I'm going to specify the file path of myfile.txt file. So in this parenthesis, I'm going to simply call format method. To delete this file, you need to specify absolute path of this file in this parameter. Now suppose you don't know the absolute path of this file. You can use this path variable for that. So here in this parenthesis, I'm going to specify single quote just like this. Then specify curly braces to use formatting. I'm going to specify backward slash here. Then specify curly braces. And then just for that, I'm going to use formatting here. And to this curly braces, I'm going to pass variables. So here in this formatting, I'm going to first specify path. And then I'm going to specify my file name, myfile.txt. So I'm going to have this path value in this first curly braces and this myfile.text value in this second curly braces. When I execute this file, the Python will remove this file from the Python directory, from the project directory. Let me show you. You can notice I have this file in my project. When I execute this program and open my project, you can notice the file is now removed from the project directory. So using this simple statement, you can remove any file from the project directory. I hope you understand how you can write and delete a file using Python. In the next lecture, we're going to talk about what is graphical user interface. So I will see you on the next one.